Man, what a nice crowd. This is awesome. My name is Richard Bird. I'm the Chief Security Officer for Singular, like you just heard. It always bears repeating. And before I jump into anything, I want to first talk a little bit about why should I even listen to this guy? Like, who the heck is he, right? You're investing your time here, and I'm very conscious of that. And I want to make sure that I give you something hopefully valuable when you walk out of here, a nugget, something that will help you in what you're trying to do today relative to AI adoption and usage within your companies. So who am I? Well, I could give you the whole bona fides first, but the most important thing for me to tell you is I am a son of a fishing captain. I went to work in the family business at 12 years old. That is the captain. Unfortunately, he passed away last summer. And I worked for my dad for close to 15 years in the family business. That's because my dad had no respect for child labor laws. And part of the thing that's most important in my career is what my father taught me. He was the best business leader I've ever known. An incredible salesperson who decided when he was tired of his commissions and his territories being cut that he was going to chuck it all and buy some boats and go fishing on Lake Erie for a living. A man who kind of guided his own destiny. But the most important thing is that if you are a fisher person yourself, you know the best thing about people that fish is we've got the best stories. And my dad was a fantastic storyteller, and hopefully he passed some of that on to me. But what does that mean about my career? So I spent 24 years in the corporate world. I worked for a dozen of those years for a small company called JP Morgan Chase. First half of my career was IT operations. I like to say that I was the rule breaker, and that's why I was a good CISO later on for the second half of my career in security. Because I like to say that I became the global head of identity for JP Morgan Chase to pay off all the karmic debt that I had accrued by being a really security unaware application development manager, infrastructure leader, and all the other IT jobs that I had before I got into security. So I did do a total of about 6 years at JP Morgan Chase, being the global head of identity, insider threat and vulnerability management. So the short of it is that I'm you. I've lived the life that you have lived within your enterprises. Now, I escaped across the wall. And people like to tell me that, oh, you went to the dark side. And I've joined the solution side about 7 years ago, startups specifically, and I've had a blast. I started out in identity because that was where my strongest suit was, but I have been a CISO, so I've been a multi-domain security practitioner. That led then into an opportunity to start in really the early days of API security. Interestingly enough, if you spend about 2 or 3 years in API security, and it's been the last 2 or 3 years, you actually learn quite a bit about AI. Why? Because all AI rides on APIs, right? And that gave me the opportunity to join Singular after spending the last couple of years of diving into AI. But let's talk a little bit about what AI is, because if you look at the AI security and control space today, it is predominantly oriented towards two facets of AI. It is focused on LLM model poisoning and protection, and LLM data security relative to data ingestion. Got a question for you. How many of you are using AI today? Okay. Yeah, are you developing it or are you using it? I'm just kind of curious. Like, you're using, okay, a little bit of both? Like every one of you is probably using AI every day and you don't even know it yet, right? Embedded solutions that you're using on the consumer side. But here's what I'm hearing when I'm talking to people out in the marketplace. Fortune 500 CISO, good friend of mine. I've been told to stand down. We'll worry about security later. We need to innovate and we need to move and generate return on value from AI, and we'll worry about security later. That's worked out fantastically the last 35 years, right? Let's do security last. After the horse is out of the barn. And you take a look at what else is going on here. We signed an enterprise, this is my favorite use case so far working for Singular. We signed an enterprise use case for 500 licenses for Grammarly. Singular took a look at our environment and found out that 3,200 people were using Grammarly. Now, you would say, what does that have to do with AI? I would recommend you go look at the EULA for Grammarly and find out where your data is going every time it's being proofread, all the information that you're putting in for documents that you're writing and using Grammarly to proofread. 3,200, 2,700 people were using personal subscriptions and free subscriptions on corporate assets and putting data into it, right? Now, I understand a lot of folks aren't even thinking about the consequences of this yet within your organizations, but you better be. Now, when we take a look at what somebody else says here in a GRC function, a head of GRC said, now that Singular is in place, we're seeing 10 to 30 new agents enter our environment a week. And by the way, they also have had a 300 request backlog for AI agents and services to be approved and sanctioned for use in their company. So think about that curve. I'm 300 behind and I'm adding 30 a week. How do I catch up and approve, govern, and control those AI agents and features within my organization? So your employees aren't waiting for devs, and this is the reason why I asked about who's messing around with AI development. According to Gartner, 47% of companies say they're developing their own AI currently. How many of those 47% do you think actually have anything AI in production? Not many, right? Matter of fact, if you look at all the other studies about a return on investment for AI development investment itself, you'll find that it's been a big disappointment for the last 12 months, right? But how many of your employees are exposed to AI every day? That'd be 100%, right? So all the energy and excitement about AI is focused on the potential. Here's all the cool things that we can do with it. In the meantime, everybody's already doing cool things with AI. It just happens to predominantly be external to your organization. And it's like you're turning over all of this information to this extended network of third-party, fourth-party, nth-party players, and you don't even know who they are. So when we look at this, externally provided AI services and agencies and embedded AI features represent the vast majority of your AI exposure today, and most companies are handling by saying, we are blocking everything except for access to ChatGPT until we can figure this out. Now, I am an old security practitioner dog. Are you really blocking everything? No, of course not, right? You're not blocking everything, and more importantly, you're creating a false sense of security. And why? I'm known in the marketplace for contentious statements. Blocking is not security. Blocking is an operational compromise. So if you're thinking that you're securing your organization by blocking, you are not securing your organization. Now, when we take a look at this, the other problem that you have is, where we go? Not advancing. There we go. You don't control everybody else's AI. I love everybody talking about, we're securing AI by blocking it, with, Palo or Zscaler. You're not securing the changes that are happening within those AI agents. You're not securing the development lifecycle that is happening with those AI agents. You don't own those AI assets. They're not yours. So what kind of problems does that generate for us? Let's see if we get this going here. There we go. There we go. It creates fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Now, I actually love this statement. Being on the solution side now for 7 years, I love when an old CISO friend of mine says, well, you're just trying to sell fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And I'm like, are you not afraid? As security practitioners, we are professionally paid to be afraid. This is our job. We fear everything. If you have no paranoia bone in you as a security practitioner, I would recommend you go work in GRC or audit. I really would. I'm scared of everything. Right? So think about, in this case, you don't own any of these AI assets or agents. It's kind of like third-party risk management or supply chain security had a baby with Freddy Krueger, right? You have no idea what you're exposing yourself to. You have no idea what bad dreams this guy's going to show up in relative to what's going on in your organization, because you have no visibility or observability into what's going on with these AI agents, who's using them. Weirdest use case that I've been asked about recently for customers that we already have is, hey, you're doing all this cool stuff and letting us see all these agents and control them and govern them, make decisions about them and securing them. Could you also see when our employees are using AI agents on their personal cell phones? And I said, no, we're not Palantir. We don't do that. Like, we're not, but these are the kind of problems that people are facing. The reality of, I don't have an AI agent access on my corporate asset, but I'm using a Mac device, so I simply get on ChatGPT on my phone, and then I airdrop the results into my corporate laptop. right? These are real world use cases that we're facing today in an environment where people are still going, all I'm doing is blocking everything. You're blocking nothing, right? This is the truth of what we're facing. So when we take a look at, now I'm starting to get the gist of this. There we go. We have to think about why we're really afraid, right? What is causing this fear? First, big fear in the C-suite, minus the CISO, CEO, and the board. We're not moving fast enough. We got to do more with AI. Who's getting any of that? We got to do more with AI. There we go. We got a few. Unsanctioned AI use, right? Did I approve for you to use that? I don't even know that you're using it, so how can I approve it? That's a fear. Privacy violations, obviously. We've got things like moving too fast. Maybe we're going to break things. Analysis paralysis. I've got 300 requests in backlog on Jira tickets to be able to approve or sanction the use of AI. I'm never going to get through them all. I got to do all this research for data that's not available in the market, right? Who actually is in charge of AI? This is one of my favorite. Anybody have somebody that's actually in charge of all AI within your organization? No? Yeah, maybe one? There we go. That's about par for the course. Yeah. What's that? Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yep. So one-stop shop for all things AI. Oof. Man, that's a tough job. Malicious AI agents that are disguised as cool things. We're actually starting to see this develop as an attack vector, where people are popping up. Hey, use this AI agent to do this, and all of a sudden, there's a bad outcome, right? Good thing to be afraid of. Who actually owns AI, as I mentioned before? You take a look at this. AI data consumption and reflection that is violating data domicility. Like, how about when you find an AI agent where we've got all the contextual data that is domiciled in China, is masking its network traffic, and has no published data privacy agreement? That sounds like a winner, right? That's one you want all your employees using. So anyhow, we've got all these different fear factors that are out there, right? But why are we really afraid? So this is fun for me. Like, you all came to see a security presentation. You're getting all of my family pictures. So this is my mom. And this is where I'm going to ask for a little bit of feedback from you all. My mom is 79 years old. Anybody in your family ask you about whether they should be afraid of AI or not? Hands up. Your family, your extended family. There we go. Better than 3/4 of the room. My 79-year-old mother, every time I talk to her, every time I spend time with her, she goes, what should I be worried about with AI? Now, in the course of my 31-year career in technology, my mother has never asked me, what were the findings in my last Qualys scan? She's never asked me how many rules I had associated with my firewall. She's never asked me anything about security, but everybody in our lives is worried about AI. Why? Because we suffer for a lack of knowledge. We don't know anything about these AI agents. We don't know where they're coming from. We don't know what they're accessing. We don't know what their functionality is. This is a solvable problem, by the way.